Dragon's Crown is one of those old school adventures that harkens back to a simpler time, when gameplay, progression, stat building, and grinding were more important than story or aesthetics. Of course, that statement comes with a bit of irony. Dragon's Crown is astonishingly beautiful, but it also further proves the point that while the looks and sounds are what gets you through the door, its addicting combat and deep loot, equipment, and leveling systems are what will keep you coming back for more.
You came to Highland as an adventurer. Like many of your fellows, you strove to challenge the dangerous labyrinths here.
Japanese studio Vanillaware is behind Dragon's Crown, so it comes as absolutely no surprise that it looks as staggeringly gorgeous as it does, especially given their previous games, Odin Sphere and Muramasa. Environments are lush, and animations are fluid. Whether on PlayStation 3 or PlayStation Vita, Dragon's Crown truly is a tour de force of presentation. Dragon's Crown's story isn't grand, but it's surprisingly invasive and distracting, especially when it comes to the narration. It's well voice acted and at first quite charming, but it becomes ruthlessly repetitive. The narrator will say the same stuff on every stage, even if you've already been to that location before, and it's particularly bad in the hub town. It's cool that Dragon's Crown has any sort of story. The palatial intrigue between the king and his minister is certainly an interesting tale, but the plot is ultimately unimportant to enjoying the game and sometimes blocks you from getting to what really matters. Dragon's Crown is an old-school side-scrolling RPG that takes a great deal from the likes of the brawlers and arcade RPGs of the past, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to play regardless of which of the 6 completely unique character classes you decide to play as. Whether alone or with friends locally or online, Dragon's Crown gives you a ton to do both in combat and outside of it, with deep level progression, an addicting loot system, and much more to keep you active and engaged. In the Kingdom of Highland, you'll visit 9 separate levels with a litany of monsters to fight, bosses to vanquish, items to find, and even alternate paths to take and secret rooms to find. Dragon's Crown doesn't have dozens of stages to explore, but rather the same set of levels to visit over and over again in order to find new loot and make yourself stronger. This fact is admittedly disappointing, even if the game scales and becomes more complex after you beat it. Combat is extremely fulfilling and varies wildly depending on the class you choose to play as. Indeed, this almost entirely makes up for the small number of stages. Using each character has its own advantages and disadvantages, and cleverly, a de facto difficulty setting is built into each class. I like that none of the characters are mere palette swaps of one another. There really is a reason to try each one. While battles can get incredibly chaotic, the sheer chaos is part of the fun. Dragon's Crown really is an ode to the way games used to feel and play, with significant difficulty curves and stat, loot, and upgrade-driven features. Outside of battle, Dragon's Crown promotes a unique loot system. Items are ranked by letter, and you'll be forced to spend hard-earned gold to figure out what you have, even if you won't need or want most of it. It's a fun, engaging, and downright tantalizing system that promotes replaying the game. Dragon's Crown also has an addicting side quest system and a skill progression system that's totally unique to each character. Of course, should you grow tired of playing Dragon's Crown by yourself and want to play with your friends, you can do that. The PlayStation 3 iteration can be played locally or online with up to 4 people, while the Vita version only supports single-player and online functionality. Unfortunately and confusingly, people playing on PS3 can't play with Vita players and vice versa, but saves can be transferred between the 2 devices so long as you opt to buy both games individually. That's right, Dragon's Crown doesn't support cross-buy, a decision that's quite regrettable. Dragon's Crown is about to put Vanillaware on the map with more than just the niche the developer's been serving for years. Whether on PlayStation 3 or PS Vita, it's an enjoyable and deep old-school romp with an incredible amount of charm and an even higher amount of replay value. If I had to pick between the 2 platforms, I think it fits better on PS3, especially in combat when the action gets truly crowded, but it really is just as good on Vita. For more on all things PS3 and PS Vita, keep it tuned to IGN.